Welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Neeru Tandon, Department of English, VSSG College, Kanpur. We are discussing paper on linguistics, and this module number 14, word formations in English, has been written by Dr. Chaya Jain from VSSG College, Kanpur. In this particular module, we are going to discuss how they are formed. What is the importance of the word? What are the various theories related with that? What are the various techniques being used to coin a word? And what is the importance of particular process? What is the history of coining the word? And various other interesting things. So the existence of words is usually taken for granted by the speakers of a language. To speak and understand a language means, among many other things, knowing the words of that language. The average speaker knows thousands of words, and new words enter our minds and our language on a daily basis. This module is about words, so more specifically it deals with the internal structure of the complex words, or the words that are composed of more than one meaningful element. Take for example the very word meaningful, which could be argued to consist of two elements, meaning and full, or even three, mean, ing, full. We will address the question of how such words are related to other words and how the language allows speakers to create new words. For example, meaningful seems to be clearly related to colorful, but perhaps less so to awful or plentiful. And given that meaningful may be paraphrased as having a definite meaning and colorful as having bright or many different colors, we could ask whether it is also possible to create the word coffeeful, meaning heavy coffee. No. Under the assumption that language is a rule-governed system, it should be possible to find meaningful answers to such questions. Word formation is of great interest not only for a linguist but also for all of us. We also want to know through word formation the other nitty-gritties of other aspects of language. How new words are being formed in any language? Is it because of the new invention or changes or some other techniques? In traditional grammar, words are the basic units of analysis. Grammarians classify words according to their parts of speech and identify and list the forms that words can show up in. Words are the main units used for entries in dictionaries. In fact, words are potentially complex units composed of even more basic units called morphemes. A morpheme is the smallest part of a word that has grammatical function or meaning. Language is dynamic, and one of the distinct properties of language is its creativity. What is word formation? If we go to define word formation, we know that derived words is the process or result of forming new words, which derive from words or group of words with the same root. In other words, word formation is defined as the ways in which new words are made on the basis of other words or morphemes. According to Wikipedia, if we go to define word formation, we can say, in linguistics, particularly morphology and lexicology, word formation refers to the ways in which new words are made on the basis of other words or morphemes, also called derivational morphology. Word formation can denote either a state or a process, and it can be viewed either diachronically through different periods in history or synchronically at one particular period in time. Most English vocabulary arises by making new lexemes out of old ones, either by adding an affix to previously existing forms, altering their word class, or combining them to produce compounds. These processes of construction are of interest to grammarians as well as lexicologists. But the importance of word formation to the development of the lexicon is second to none. After all, almost any lexeme, whether Anglo-Saxon or foreign, can be given an affix, change its word class, or help make a compound. alongside the Anglo-Saxon root in kingly. For example, we have the French root in royally and the Latin root in regally. There is no elitism here. The processes of affixation, conversion and compounding are all great levelers. This has been said by David Crystal in the Cambridge Encyclopedia of the English Language 2nd edition. Now, word formation is the creation of a new word that we all know. It is a branch of science of the language which studies the patterns on which a language forms new lexical items like new words. It is a process of forming words by combining roots and affixal morphemes. Now we know that bound morpheme, free morpheme and bound roots we have already discussed. Just a quick review that as we can see from the complex words, some morphemes can occur only if attached to some other morphemes. Such morphemes are called bound morphemes, in contrast to free morphemes which do occur on their own. Some bound morphemes, for example, un, must always be attached before the central meaningful element of the word, the so-called root stem or base, whereas other bound morphemes such as ity, ness or less must follow the root. Using Latin influenced terminology, un is called a prefix, ity a suffix, with affix being the cover term for all bound morphemes that attach to roots. Note that there are also bound roots, that is, roots that only occur in combination with some other bound morpheme. Example of bound roots are often of Latin origin. For example, later, as in combination with the adjectival suffix al. Approbe, as in approbate, approbation, approbatory, approbator. Simul, as in simultane, simulate, simulation, but occasional native bound roots can also be found, like hap, as in hapless. Some affixes are often used to create new words. If we discuss productive and unproductive affixes, we will come to know that there are some other affixes which are less often used or not used at all for this purpose. The property of an affix to be used to coin new complex words is referred to as the productivity of that affix. Not all affixes possess this property to the same degree. Some affixes do not possess it at all. For example, we know that nominal th, as in length, can only attach to a small number of specified words but cannot attach to any other words beyond that set. This suffix can therefore be considered unproductive. Even among affixes that can in principle be used to coin new words, there seem to be some that are more productive than others. For example, the suffix ness, as cuteness, gives rise to many more new words than, for example, the suffix ish, as in appish. The obvious question now is which mechanism is productive and which is not. Possible or potential word. Intuitively, the notion of productivity must make reference to the speaker's ability to form new words and to the conditions the language system imposes on new words. This brings us to a central distinction in morphology, the one between possible or potential and actual words. A possible or potential word can be defined as a word whose semantic, morphological or phonological structure is in accordance with the rules and regularities of the language. Predictability of meaning is therefore another property of potential words. In the case of the potential words, affordable, readable, manageable, these words are also actual words because they have already been coined and used by speakers. But not all possible words are existing words because, to use again the example of able, the speakers of English have not coined able derivatives on the basis of each and every transitive verb of English. For instance, take the word cannibalizable. That is not an existing word in the sense that it is used by the speakers of English. However, it is a possible word of English because it is in accordance with the rules of English word formation. and if speakers had a practical application for it, they could happily use it. Now then, what is actual word? Having clarified the notion of possible word, we can turn to the question of what an actual or existing word is. A loose definition would simply say that actual words are those words that are in use. However, when can we consider a word as being in use? Does it mean that some speaker has observed it being used somewhere? Or that the majority of the speech community is familiar with it? Or that it is listed in dictionary? So it is yet to determine in what category we'll put the word actual word. Now, birth and death rates of words is interesting to know. Just as a new species can be born into an environment, a word can emerge in a language. Evolutionary selection laws can apply pressure on the sustainability of new words since there are limited resources like topics, books, etc. for the use of words. Along the same lines, old words can be driven to extinction when cultural and technological factors limit the use of a word. In analogy to the environmental factors that can change the survival capacity of a living species by altering its ability to survive and reproduce. It was said by Alexander M. Peterson in Statistical Laws Governing Fluctuations in Word Use from Word Birth to Word Death. Theoretical issues related with word formations. Why theory? Haven't we so far rather successfully dealt? The answer is clearly no. Whenever we had to solve an empirical problem to explain an observation with regard to complex words, we had to make recourse to theoretical notions such as word, affix, rule, alteration, prosody, head, etc. In other words, during our journey through the realm of complex words, we tactily developed a theory of word formation without ever addressing explicitly the question of how our theoretical bits and pieces may fit together to form an overall theory of word formation. But what is a theory? In a more restricted sense, a certain theory is a hypothetical entity or a structural explaining or relating an observed set of facts. Webster's third SV theory. Thus, a morphological theory would help us not only to understand observed and yet unobserved facts concerning complex words, but would also help us to develop hypotheses in order to arrive at general principles of word formation. In very general terms, a theory can help us to understand the word better. This is also the idea behind the saying that there is nothing as practical as a good theory. Related with word formation, we can have different types of word formation. There are two ways of word formation, productive and non-productive ways. Productive ways includes affixation, word composition, conversion, abbreviation. So whenever we talk about theories, we can say related with word formation there are three theories. Theories of lexical phonology, alternative theories, and theory of word-based morphology. Now, different types of word formations are there. We can say there are two ways of word formation, productive and non-productive ways. Productive ways include affirmation, word composition, conversion, abbreviation, etc. Non-productive way includes sound interchange, stress interchange, sound imitation, blending, back formation, etc. We have affixation, we have prefixation. Using prefix to make new word is called prefixation. Using affix is called affixation. And then we have suffixation when we use suffix to make new words. There are various groups like noun, adjective, verb, adverb, etc. to make suffix. Now, words are also coined by stress interchange. When we just say conduct, that is one word, to conduct, that is another word. So, stress interchange also gives birth to some new words or new meanings. Entry of a word in a language is known as etymology. It is a study of the history of words, their origin, how their form and meaning changed over time. Blends. We also find so-called blends, which are amalgamations of parts of different words, such as smog, that is a mixture of smoke and fog, or modem, that is modulator or demodulator. Blends based on orthography are called acronyms, which are coined by combining the initial letters of compounds or phrases into a pronounceable new word like NATO, UNESCO, etc. Simple abbreviations like UK or USA are also quite common. Etymology that we were discussing in English, it's alleviate. It is a combination of a Latin levis means light and the prefix ad means to, add changes to a before a root starting from I. Words derived from it, levis, relive, elevate, leviation, levity. So various words can be coined. Now what is the word formation process? It appears to be straightforward but are deep. It was once considered barbaric misuse of language. Tasteless innovation, a term used to describe the word formation process. And word formation processes are signs of constant evolution of language. They are reassuring signs of vitality and creativeness in the way language shapes our needs. These are the basic techniques at a glance. You can say coinage, compounding, clipping, conversion, affixation, borrowing, blending, back formation, acronym and reduplication, by which we coin new word, by which the process of coining new word takes place. There is another technique known as loan translations. In it, we just direct translation of the elements of word into borrowing language. Suppose I have taken any word from Hindi language and just take as it is in the English word or English dictionary, then that is the loan translation. We can see in Oxford dictionary so many Hindi words are already there. So like eatables like jalebi, that is also there in Oxford dictionary. So that is the loan translation. We have done that, we have borrowed that and put it in particular dictionary, in particular language. That is the coining of word in a particular language. Some more examples are there. Recruitment, online recruitment of employees, online submission of resume and cover letters is known as recruitment. Then we have netbook, a small laptop computer which weighs less than 3 pounds and has a 7 to 10 inches screen is known as netbook. We have not spot, an area where there is slow internet access or no connection at all. Then we have slumdog, very poor, underprivileged person who lives in an overcrowded slum. So that is known as slumdog. These kind of words are being coined every day, and the language changes, keep on changing, having new words, just fulfilling various needs of the people for expression. Have you ever heard the word eponym? It's new words based on names of persons or places. That is eponym. Like Volt, Watt, on the name of James Watt, wattage that we say. He was a Scotch scientist. Then boycott, like on the basis of Irish person Charles Boycott. Then we have Fahrenheit, on the German scientist Gabriel Fahrenheit. So all these words that we have, from where this Fahrenheit word has come, like to measure it, because the scientist who discovered it, we are using his name for this particular person. So coining words on the basis of the nouns, that is known as eponym. Now coinage. The word formation process of inventing entirely new words is known as coinage. That is, robotics was coined in 1941, genocide in 1943, black hole in 1968, blog, internet, Google, aspirin, they are the latest terminology that has been invented and being used and coined for the general use. Then we have borrowing, that is the process of actually borrowing words from foreign languages. We know English is a horrible mix of dialects. We have words from Latin, Greek, French, Hindi also. So it's a mix of dialects, mix of languages, and it has been borrowing words from nearly 100 languages in the last 100 years. So the other way around, many countries also have taken many English words into their dictionaries, such as well-known okay or internet. Most of the loan words are nouns, only some of them are verbs or adjectives. Then we have calc, direct translation of the element of a word into the borrowing language. Word for word translation of a phrase borrowed from another language, like Spanish from English. Compounding is the process of putting words together to build a new one that does not denote two things but one, and that is pronounced as one unit, like handbag. There is one word hand, there is bag, but when we say handbag as one unit, then it denotes neither hand nor bag, but a handbag is something else. In the same way, wallpaper, it's neither wall nor paper, it's wallpaper. Fingerprint, sunburn, so many words are there, and that is known as compounding, coining new words, having new words through compounding. Then we have derivation, that we have already discussed. With the help of the prefixes, suffixes, etc., we derive new words and use them in our language. Blending is a combination of two or more words, like breakfast and lunch becomes brunch, motor and hotel becomes motel, transfer and register becomes transistor, emotion and icon becomes emoticon. Then back formation, nouns, verbs, reduction of noun to form verbs. Television, televise. Donation, donate. Option, opt. Emotion, emote. Editor, edit. So these are the back formation. Word from initials of a set of words. Scuba, like self-contained underwater breathing apparatus, and we all know scuba diving, but we don't know that it is the acronym of self-contained underwater breathing apparatus. In the same way, we say field radar is a word, but it is an acronym. It is radio detection and ranging. Laser is again, and there are so many more words, like PIN, that is mostly being used, personal identification number. We have initialism. Initialisms are pronounced as a sequence of letters, like DNA, deox. Then we have USA, United States of America. The first letter of every word is taken to denote another word. Onomatopoeia. This is a special type of word that depicts the sound associated with what is named. Buzz, hiss, sizzle, cuckoo, crash, bang, hush, tic-tac, etc. They come from the sounds only and known as onomatopoeia, that is also known as a figure of speech. Shortening of a polysyllabic word is known as clipping. We have back clipping, fore clipping, middle and complex clipping as well. We know that phonetic is equal to fan, telephone is popularly known as phone, gasoline is known as gas, influenza is flu, and so on and so forth. So new words come into existence with clipping as well. Now modern English has openness of vocabulary. Openness of vocabulary implies both free admission of words from other languages and the ready creation of compounds and derivatives. English adopts without any change or adapts with slight change any word really needed to name some new object or to denote some new process. Like French, Spanish, Russian, English frequently form scientific terms from classical Greek word elements. So as we have seen, there are so many words, and words, so many words. How many to remember, how many to just understand, and still it goes on and on and on. This journey never ends, and who knows, in the coming time the words, they keep on changing, whether the coming generation will be able to understand what we are speaking or not, or the changes will take place. Then that will be something great, something extra, and they will come up with new terminology, new words, new processes. So still, how do we form words, how this word formation takes place, we have learned this in this module. Keep learning and have a happy time. Learn new words. Thank you for visiting EPG Pathshala.